Hello, I'm Michel Combs, and I will talk about cryptography applied to mental health. In cryptography, we have 5 identities. Your authentic self, this identity defined by your only secret that you keep for yourself. Something that no one else knows. It's your true authentic self. Then you have, that's defining your sovereign identity. Then you have the public identity. It's all the information that you share with the public, defining who you are in the eyes of others, in the eyes of the government, and so on. That's your date of birth, that's your place of birth, that's your social security number, that's your banking account, that's your passport, that's your identity card, and so on. All the, what we call the PII, personal identifiable information. Then you have what you share on social media. That's all the secrets and information that you send over social media channel. Then, so that's the pseudo anonymous identity. You show up under certain pseudonym, username. Public identity, you show up under your name and last name. Social identity, you show up under a pseudonym. Then you have the identity that is defined with the data that you generate that can be de-identified. And that means that there is no pseudonym attached, but there is a signature of your data. And this signature is changing by every data set. It means you cannot correlate. If you take the data itself and it's properly anonymized, it has a signature, but you cannot cross-correlate different set of data. Every set of data is independent. Every set of data own their own secret part that you share with basically the data recipient. So the data recipient might see one identity, but if you send it to someone else in the same way, then they share the same secret, so they can cross-correlate. They know you in the same way. They know that you are the same person. However, if you randomize the data, then you randomize the signature, and for every recipient, you have a different identity. They can still work, they can still do correlation work within their data set, but they cannot cross-correlate with others. That's what I call de-identified. Is that it's a data that makes sense, but data where you cut the total link to your own physical identity, to your public identity, to your social identity, and so on. And then there is the total anonymous identity where you have no personal information, there is no source that is trackable, and every information it has its own random signature. So for you, knowing that you're the source of the data, you know who you are, you know you're the same person. But for anybody else that receives the data, it's totally from a random source. There is no link, no way of retracing the author of the data. So, to summarize, self-sovereign identity, the one that is kept secret to anyone else. The public identity, the pseudo-anonymous identity, the de-identified identity, and the fully anonymous identity. These are the 5 identities. So now, when you apply that to mental health is about how you feel about yourself, how happy you are within your life, within your sphere of self, meaning is the information that you hold inside yourself, defining who you are, is in resonance with what you want to be. So if you have those 5 identities, your happiness is defined by how all those different identities are coherent between themselves. How all those identities define in a consistent way who you are. How those identities are in harmony between themselves. Is there conflict between these different identities? Is there difference between one identity and the other that is a signature of something that you're missing, something that you're lacking, something that creates frustration, something that creates anger, something that makes you want to change, something that you're uncomfortable, something that you're ashamed, and so on. So it's all the discrepancies between those identities that define how healthy you are mentally, how emotionally you are, how fit you are, and so on. And so by having an oversight on who you are in all those little spheres of information, all different sets, all different bubbles of information, by comparing the shared secrets between all those little sets of information, you are able to have some kind of distance measurement or dissonance measurement between, if you define like a frequency for each of those information sets, are they harmonious? Are they dissonant? And so we can measure a distance in the sense that two sets of information that are far away or that are opposed will lead to a bigger distance. And happiness is nothing else than the goal of making those identities closer. The ultimate happiness or realization is when you have all identities matching the same individual's information. So at the end is that if all identities are the same, that means you shared everything with everyone, and then you basically you collapse and disappear. You go back to the whole universe. You back to the divine. It's like the bubble, the life information, like Idris Bekan said, is like life is a bubble, like a soap bubble, where that has a membrane defining what is outside, what is inside. And when the bubble explodes, when the bubble dies, it goes back to the whole. The air inside that was delimited with the membrane of the soap doesn't exist. The air inside exists, but the membrane doesn't exist anymore, so the air inside went back to the whole atmosphere. So ideally is you realize yourself who you are when you have no mismatch between your identity. And so we can use the application, we can use technology to measure the distance between your 5 identities. And by applying some learning, sharing information between identities, and shaping the identity, acknowledging who you want to be, we can set a trajectory how to make those identities coherent, consistent with one another, harmoniously, being in resonance with all your identity. And that's where you are in your ikigai, your flow. You are in the flow, meaning everything you are is aligned with who you are, who you want to be. Your goal and your life is aligned. And you're just simply happy. That's how we use cryptography to solve your mental health issues. We have an application at Dolly that will help you journal your events in life, define who you are, track your mood, and see what's necessary, what are the steps, what are the habits that you need to evolve to be able to have all the side of yourself in line, resonate with who you are. Basically, it's making who you want to be who you are by being aware, conscious of those set of information. By sharing secret between your identities, you create a new identity, the group identity, the supra identity, the conscious identity that will harmonize everything. Once you share an information, you create something bigger. And so we have an application helping you sharing who you are with yourself. This is Adoli.